Now, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had one of those days where, like, you come home from work or school or whatever, and you want to do nothing but lay on the couch for a couple hours and throw on a really stupid action movie? I'm talking about Schwarzenegger, Steven Seagal type of really dumb action movie where you know everything that's going to happen. You know that, there's going to be a conflict, there's going to be some bad guys, he's going to kill the bad guys, and at the end, he's going to get the girl and whatever treasure or prize he wins. You know the outline. You've written it 1,000 times if you're a writer, you've seen it 1,000 times if you're a storygoer. The bottom line is that it's mindless, cheesy awesomeness. I get the same kind of vibes playing Uncharted. And what I mean by that is Uncharted 1 and 2 as I'm halfway through the series. So I wanted to give my thoughts on the games so far, because I know I have another 2 games to play, with the 4th being the best installment, apparently. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I loved every second of it. And let me tell you why. Now, it's important to understand when Uncharted 1 came out and what Naughty Dog Studios was going through at the time. Long gone were the days of high praises from gamers for their smash hit Crash Bandicoot for the PS1, which blew up in the late 90s. Before venturing into the Uncharted project, the golden goose of the studio at the time was a game called Jak and Daxter, made for the PS2. However, both games were very cartoonish in nature, regardless of how much they tried to switch it up on the graphics in Jak 2, and the guys had a long ways to go in regards to making the leap to realism. Now sure, with games like Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Part 2, and The Last of Us Part 1 Remastered, it could seem a bit alien to think that there was a time this was a challenge considering the almost picturesque graphics of those games. But by the time Jak 3 was rolling around, the long-awaited PS3 was right around the corner, and with it, perhaps the biggest change in demographics ever to take place in the market. See, for the first time ever, adult gamers started to become the de facto movers and shakers industry leaders wanted to appeal to. And what did that mean? It meant that Naughty Dog had to mature with them and give people what they wanted. A realistic shooter game centered around mature characters and adult themes and adult dialogue. With this new demand came the seemingly unlimitless potential of the new PS3, which I still think is one of the best consoles to ever be created. Now, I know I stream on the PS5 and Xbox every night, but trust me, on rare days where I could squeeze in an hour or 2 of leisure time, you could bet your ass I throw on my old PS3 to play games like Grand Theft Auto 3 or BioShock. But getting back on track. This push for an entirely new style of game came with it a bunch of obstacles, including the need to learn all new programming and bring on a whole new team of devs and creatives. This was a big shift for the company, but it turned out to be all worth it because the end result, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, was released on November 19th, 2007 to a massive acclaim. So, why go into the history, Alex? Well, because there are moments in the game where it could feel a little dated. But you gotta realize that this was a revolutionary game. At the time, third-person shooters were a massive seller, with IPs such as Mass Effect, released the same year, and prior games like Metal Gear Solid and Max Payne. Now, all are iconic, but none contain the light-hearted action movie vibes of Uncharted. When you play through this game, I swear, the first thing you think of is how theatric it feels, with cutscenes hashing out plot lines and delving into shifts in the story, to character development akin to a James Cameron movie. But if you put the minor pre-modern crap behind you, this game plays as good as any story-based action game on the market today. But with that being said, it's hard not to notice the very 2007 style mechanics in this game. For example, the ability to carry only 2 guns without an interactive UI kinda sucks. And the cheesy hand-to-hand melee fights feel more like a cutscene than an actual brawl. I mean, I get it. A lot of this had to do with the carryover to the new engine, and the devs getting used to the new industry standard C++ programming, making such things a tougher task than expected. But even with those minor bumps in the road, it's the story that really drives this one home. In Drake's Fortune, the major players in the game and their intentions are laid out for us to grasp and get to know from square one. See, Drake is an ancestor of a legendary explorer looking to continue his legacy, who just found his long-lost famous relative's coffin buried at sea. Accompanying him on this journey is his totally not-gonna-be future love interest, reporter Elena, and his father figure psychic Sully. After discovering a hidden map to the ancient city of gold, El Dorado, the two part ways from Elena, although she wasn't too thrilled about that. From there, Sully and Nate head off into the jungle and start their adventure, but not before being rudely interrupted by Gabriel Roman, the quintessential villain and rival treasure hunter the game thrusts at us. I wonder if I wound up winning in the end and taking over the world Pinky and the Brain style. Probably not, but tune in to find out. And find out we do when he immediately shows his evil ways by capping Sully in the chest like a true gangster. I mean, this isn't going to be a walk in the park. This sets into motion the cheesy 80s action movie style gameplay that we all came to play. I mean, the climbing alone, oh, the climbing. As ridiculously unrealistic as it is just so good. I mean, you could clearly tell that the devs haven't completely moved away from the cartoonish nature of the Jack days, and honestly, I don't mind at all. It brings a sort of light-hearted comedic nature to the game. Take, for example, the first Indiana Jones movie, during that famous scene where Indy comes face-to-face with that dual sword-wielding super ninja. After taunting Indy with his sweet moves, Indy simply pulls out a gun and shoots him, leaving us all laughing in the end. It's that kind of silliness, those kind of graphics and gameplay that brings a smile to us players every time we pop in the disc. Or download it. I really dated myself there. Once we escape from the bad guys, reunite with Elena, get caught again, escape from the bad guys again, reunite with Elena. Well, you kind of get the picture. Wash, rinse, repeat. The totally not couple come across a World War II vessel where footage reveals the true nature of El Dorado. Apparently, this statue? What? Wait, I thought we were looking for a city. Whatever. The statue's cursed. And it turns out that all who possess it turn into ravenous, bloodthirsty mutants. Because why not, right? Well, when captured by the bad guys for the umpteenth time, bad guy Roman seizes the opportunity and makes his way to the now discovered statue. However, before he could get to it, a trap springs and releases some kind of toxic gas, to which he totally breathes in. But before he could turn into one of those monster thingies, he's put out of his misery by Navarro, who, and follow me here, knew about the toxic gas all along and wanted to bottle it to sell as a biological weapon. Oh boy. But of course, we can't let this slide. So we begin to make our getaway with this statue in the most obvious way possible. Airlifting it via helicopter and crashing it into a conveniently placed cargo ship. Oh, I love this game. And for Navarro, well, he gets the statue in the end. Shocker, right? Yeah, no, unfortunately for him, he gets it by getting dragged by it via rope into a watery grave. Enjoy that dusty golden work of art, my friend. You totally deserved it. Then Nate embraces Elena, laughs with Sully, and the three literally sail off into the sunset. Like, literally sail into the sunset. It is just perfect. Like, guys, how can you not love this? At some point or another, you literally expect Jason Statham to bust down a door, turn to Nathan Drake and say, "Hello, love," and shoot a freaking missile rocket at Sully. It's got that kind of Expendables level comedic action tone to it, but we all loved it. And when announcements were made for a sequel exclusively for the PS3, it's safe to say that fans were ecstatic. I'm happy to say, too, it didn't disappoint. If anything, it got better. Now, continuing with the heart-pumping action theme of Drake's Fortune, Uncharted 2 Amongst Thieves opens in a seemingly impossible situation for Nate. Oh, you know, nothing special. Just passed out on a burning train dangling over a cliff set to plunge 5,000 feet down the freaking base of a mountain. Nothing serious, right? This is a great setup for the eventual ride we're about to be on. You see, Uncharted 2 has a cast of already fleshed out characters, sans 2 or 3 new faces, so a lot of this time for character development was replaced with Sylvester Stallone-style action scenes. Before we're able to climb our way to safety, however, a flashback gives us a glimpse into what got us here in the first place. An old smooth-talking British associate of Nate's named Flynn, alongside his sexy associate Chloe, approach our protagonist about a big score he's looking into. Marco Polo's lost treasure while on his way to the lost city of Shambhala. I love saying that word too, Shambhala. This treasure happens to be something called the Chintamani Stone, which apparently all the all the evildoers in history have been chasing since the dawn of man. It supposedly gives you super evil powers, so you could be, more super evil. I don't know. Does any of this matter? Let's get to exploring, baby! But of course, before we could even get off and running, Flynn double-crosses us, now working for this evil, bald-headed Eastern European dude, Lazarevich. Of course he's gonna be Eastern European, right? Now imprisoned, we are then bailed out by our good old pals Sully and Chloe, who convinces Nate to keep pushing on, or risk Vladimir Putin, to obtain the stone and take over the world. Quite the high stakes, if you ask me. Our adventures take us to exotic locations like Burma, Nepal, and random generic mountainous Asian village number 56. In these locations also come some immensely more satisfying gameplay action scenes where the combat, third-person shooting, and platforming feel like a legit level up from the first game. Smooth is really the best and lamest word I can think of to describe it. And the excitement is also ramped up a full peg when you have wall climbing, chase scenes, and combat all mixed together, a feature noticeably absent from Drake's Fortune. Speaking of Fortune, Drake seems to have hit the lotto running into his ex-lover Elena hot on his trail to stop Lazaro bitch. And she's still got the hots for him too. Cute spicy love triangle between Nate, cute blonde reporter, and exotic British/Indian girl boss. Oh baby. Now from there we make our way to jungles, catacombs, war-torn Middle Eastern alleyways, and finally our last stop on this trip, the monastery. I do also want to take this time to point out that the combat is a big boost up from the previous game, as the incorporation of things like gas canisters you could hurl in the air and make blow up in front of enemies, as well as SWAT-style bullet shields make for an excellent addition to this game. And for the enemy types, well, you have your classic nameless henchmen, then the bigger masked shotgun-wielding guys, which take quite a lot of bullets to take down, by the way, long-range sniper and RPG enemies, and finally these freaking monstrous brutes carrying a weapon normally found on fighter jets. Screw those guys, man. I swear, one time I launched 3 missiles at one of those guys and he got back up. Like, how? Oh, also, there's a point in this game where these giant Yeti-looking monsters attack you that can take about a full metal jacket to the dome and still be alive, despite it turning out that they're only just a bunch of these furry fetish dudes lost on the way to some kink convention. Now, that's a skewed description of what happened, but does it matter? Fighting these dudes were frustrating as heck, but awesome. Now, it's also at this time we gain a badass Tibetan sidekick that doesn't speak a lick of English, but somehow has Nate's back like they were freaking first cousins. Now at last, at the climax of the game, when the whole gang assembles at the foot of Shambhala, I'm talking Nate, Elena, his side chick Chloe, that Tibetan new cousin of ours, that backstabbing, double-crossing douche Flynn, Vladimir Putin, and all of his henchmen. Lazarevich pulls a supervillain move and decides to ingest? Inhale? I don't know. Consume the Chintamani stone and become like this slightly more evil and slightly more blue boss that we have to fight?
Hold your fire! Hold your fire! He's mine. Sorry, pal. You're not my type. Oh, shit.
Now, I will admit this showdown was a lot more fun and satisfying than Navarro in the first game, but I wish Nate would have been the one to deliver the final blow instead of those fellow slightly larger, slightly bluer, primitive dudes. But horses for courses, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know if that's the right saying for this. I just felt like saying horses for courses. But anyway, so here we are again at the end of another Nathan Drake adventure, where we save the world, gaze upon another sunset with our main girl Elena, while our side chick Chloe basically says, hit me up on Tinder if you get lonely. Our new Tibetan cousin is safe and sound with his family, and somehow Sully is here? I shit you not, the last time we see Sully, he's chasing after Chloe trying to smash. It's absolute insanity. But again, insanity in a good way. So halfway through the series, and I have to admit, I've been chomping at the bit to finish this video so I could play the third installment of Uncharted. It's like watching a cheesy 80s shoot-'em-up flick, only I get to control the main character. Who doesn't like that? If I had to make any guesses on what will happen in parts 3 and 4, I'll assume that the graphics and the combat will definitely improve. Maybe a more interactive UI, a few more interesting villains and side characters, although nothing beats that Tibetan dude. And yeah, it just had a good wholesome fun written all over it. If I had one critique of the game so far, I'd say it felt a little rushed, especially 1, and I hate to sound like a broken record here, but the hand-to-hand melee combat just needs to get better. If you could perhaps incorporate those two things and a smoother transition from prone mode back to movement, I said that these games would be damn near perfect and on the pantheon of most fun games I've ever played. It really makes you wonder how they weren't able to incorporate this into a film. I mean, Mark Wahlberg as Sully? Jeez, give me a break, man. What? And that's all I have to say about that. But I wonder what you guys think. Did you guys like Uncharted 1 and 2? And do I have something to be really excited for 3 and 4? Please let me know in the comments. And guys, if you could like and subscribe, it would mean the world to me. I'm almost at 300 subscribers. And it may seem minuscule to some people, but it's like finding the Chintamani stone for me. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about the other half of this series. But until then, hope you guys have a great one. Take care. Bye.